We need to talk about the Schuylkill River Trail. It's becoming too popular, and I say that with the best intentions. Yeah, there's probably a joke to be found there like, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. But seriously, there are some major issues. Also, this video is sponsored by Hovsco, but more on that later. The Schuylkill River Trail is a 120-mile-long multi-use trail that runs along the river with the same name from Philadelphia to Reading, Pennsylvania. The trail was started in the 1980s, but has been continuously extended. The trail is used for walking, running, biking, rollerblading, and miscellaneous other forms of transit except for cars. The Schuylkill River Trail and many other similar projects can be credited with helping revive Philadelphia in the early 2000s. Before then, Philly was in a spiral of continuous population and job loss. Philly was once a city of 2 million in the 1960s, but has lost almost 1/4 of those residents. Only quite recently, in the last 20 years, has the trend really reversed itself at all. Fortunately, the city is doing better and there's more people living here now, especially in and around Center City. The River Trail, or at least the sections that exist in Philly, were built to early 2000 standards. Unfortunately, that means that the trail is way busier now than what people in the early 2000s probably ever predicted that it would be. For the most part, during midday and the morning, the trail has manageable traffic, but right at rush hour when everyone gets out of work, it suddenly becomes super packed with people. People commuting home, going out to exercise, meeting with their friends for a walk, or just enjoying a day on the trail. That's great. I love seeing people outside enjoying themselves with their friends. It's really refreshing. But there's a big issue here. Before I talk about that, let me mention that most of the footage of the trail is filmed from the cargo bike that I've been riding recently. This video is sponsored by the Hovsco Hovcart, which is their cargo bike. It has both front and rear racks for loading up when heading to the store. It also has a 750 watt motor so that you can literally and figuratively haul ass with your cargo bike. The Hovcart has a ton of swappable features for the rear cargo area to adapt to any use case you can possibly think of. Use the code Urbanist100 at checkout to save $100 on a Hovcart today. Now to talk about the Schuylkill Trail's biggest issue. With the popularity of the trail being so high, it stresses one of the main features of the space, which is that the trail is multimodal. Multimodal paths are not uncommon, but when you have high traffic volumes of both bikes and people walking, things can get frustrating quickly. High volumes of people walking will frustrate bikers as they have to slow down and avoid larger groups of people, while also letting other people biking and walking by in the opposite direction. On the other hand, bikers will cause people walking to be frustrated as they have to worry about possibly stepping out in front of a person biking that's trying to go around them. It's less fun to enjoy a space with your friends when you're worried about ending up in someone's way in some sort. When the trail isn't busy, this isn't an issue as there's plenty of space for people to go around one another, but this quickly falls apart when the trail is experiencing rush hour. But why is the trail so popular? Let's first discard the fact that it's along the river, because there are plenty of places to hang out along the river that aren't just on the trail. The Schuylkill River Trail is popular because it's one of the few places where people can exist and have the freedom of movement without cars. The trail is almost entirely devoid of encountering automobiles, so it's one of the rare few public spaces where people are desperately craving to be away from cars. Philadelphia cyclists love the trail because it's a nice ride or commute without the fear of getting run over by someone not paying attention. This would be less of a problem if other Philadelphia bike lanes were protected and separated from cars, but that's rare, not to mention the incompleteness piecemeal that is Philly bike lanes in the first place. Anyway, car-free or car-light spaces are so rare in the US that places like the Schuylkill Trail will become full of people as the demand for car-free spaces is not being met. If the Pennsylvania DOT was in control of the Schuylkill Trail and it was a road for cars, I guarantee the trail would have already been widened 2 or 3 times over. But it's such a double standard for cars, always getting more land and more infrastructure, but not for places where people actually want to be without cars. I'm excited for the future of the Schuylkill Trail as they're building another extension from South Philly to connect to Grace Ferry. I do see one problem from adding this extension though in the form of more people on the trail. And as current infrastructure of the trail is struggling in some areas, I do hope that they're able to address that too, possibly separating bike traffic and pedestrian traffic in certain areas. Either way, the true way to alleviate pedestrian and bike traffic from the Schuylkill Trail is to open up more car-free spaces and trails throughout the city. With that, I'd like to thank Hovsco for sponsoring this video and to my Patreons for keeping the channel on the right course. I'll see y'all in the next one.